Shalom, family, and welcome back. This is Brother Maurice. Let's talk about the coming and the current destruction. A lot of people, family, believe that these things are coming from the Father. But what we have to understand is the Father wants us all to come together. And family, He wants us all to come together in love. But when we read the scriptures, it looks like the Father's doing this. It looks like it's judgment on the people. But the thing is, the bad things that happen to us here are going to happen because of the things that we do and the things that we are not doing. And one thing that the majority of the people are not doing, family, is following the Father's laws, statutes, and commandments. So I'm going to go inside, because I have a few scriptures that I like to read for you. As you see, I've been hanging out with the cows and enjoying their company. And just hanging with them gives a lot of peace. Well, family, talk to you in a few. Shalom, shalom. All right, family, let's talk about this current and coming judgment. But before we do this, there are some things that we have to understand. There are a lot of things that were manipulated in the scriptures because the Father says He changes not. But when you look at the Old Testament, the Father's angry. The Father's vengeful. The Father has hate. But then when we look at the New Testament, we see something different with love. Christ said, when you've seen the Father, when you've seen Him, you've seen the Father. With Christ, did you ever see anger or judgment or hate? Did you ever see Christ condemn people to a hell, a burning fire? So we have to understand that there were things that took place. Now, the Father did say that things were going to take place, but the things that He said were going to take place was because of our disobedience. And in our disobedience, the Father was not going to be there to take care of us. Because when we don't follow the Father's laws of love, then we open ourselves up to follow Satan. And then we're in the hands of Satan. And he can do whatever he wants to do with us. So a lot of things that we see taking place are taking place because we're not showing people love. We're not showing charity. We're not treating people the way that we want to be treated. And therefore, we have been in the hands of Satan. Now, when the Father proclaimed things were going to take place, there were proclamations. They were not curses. But the wicked put in the scriptures that they were curses, and that was because they chose to have them. But there were proclamations of what would happen. And we can see this in the book of remembrance of Melchizedek. In Little Book chapter 1, starting at verse number 114, it says, "And when the proclamation sounded, the prophecies of my Father were poured out, and his thoughts in his meditations have brought about the knowledge of the consequences of the sins of the wicked of all the nations. And the wicked will view these consequences as curses, even though they chose to have them. And they will blaspheme God and attribute what happens to them to be the anger and vengeance of God. And they have filled the earth with lies. And they have crafted acts of darkness and spread them abroad through the authority of the leaders of nations. And their lies have covered the earth and spread out upon the seas and have gone to the rivers and fountains and extended up to the luminaries of heaven and the very seat of evil and the waters of life, even the Euphrates, and even the air itself holds their lies." Let's go to the book of remembrance of Enoch, and we're going to Seth 1. That's Seth chapter 1, verse number 76. And it says, "And it came to pass that all of the righteous among the ancients viewed God as mild and gentle and forgiving, and filled with loving kindness. But among the wicked, he was viewed as angry and powerful and vengeful, and one who is to be much feared. Let's go to the book of remembrance of ancient grandmothers in Grandmothers chapter 3, verse number 37. It says, and the Spirit said that to state or act upon the idea that our father Anochseed, that's the one people call God, and Adam called him Anochseed because that means I am loving kindness. And the idea that Anochseed is cruel or vengeful or wrathful, and that he kills and destroys, is in fact using his name in vain. And I saw that the wicked were able to define Anochseed in this way, by the use of blood as the element of wickedness. And great will be their embarrassment when they stand before him, and such will enter into the light of his presence, holy, unclean. Now let's go to the Third Testament, chapter 14, starting at verse number 21 through 23. It says, I rebuke those who preach a blind faith, a faith without knowledge, a faith acquired by fears and superstitions. Listen not to the words of those who attribute to God all the evils that torment mankind, all plagues, famines, and epidemics, calling them punishments or wrath of God. These are the false prophets. Turn away from them, because they do not know me, and yet want to teach men what God is like. Let's go to the book of remembrance of Melchizedek in a section called Little Book, chapter 2. It says, and on the other side, which speaks of salvation, I have written the image of my arm, handing a mushroom cloud of smoke for the wicked. And the bottom of that column of smoke is right before the eyes of the symbol of the man. And the wicked look to find ways of creating the smoke of destruction for their enemies, and they delight in their smoke of destruction. And all they have ears for is to hear the sounds of death, and all they can feel is the lust for vengeance, and all they seek to find is the domination over their fellow men. Don't we see this today, family? Everything that's taking place right now is the domination over the people. We think that the governments are righteous, but the governments, family, they are straight wicked. The things that we see that took place in Paradise, California, the things that took place in Lahaina, the things that took place in Houston, in North Carolina, in Tennessee, in Richmond, Virginia, and now what's going on over in California with all the fires. These are done by people who are seeking to find the domination over their fellow men. Now, in the Apocalypse of Abraham, chapter 30, it talks about the 10 plagues. And when we come back in part number 2, we're going to address these plagues. Shalom, shalom. I love you, family. Let's continue, family, with part 2 of the current and the coming destruction. I mentioned we're going to talk about the Apocalypse of Abraham, chapter 30, because now we understand that the Father let us know what was going to happen if we fell out of keeping his laws of love. If we could not work together, the wicked would rule everything, and the wicked would control everything. Now, the plagues that would come, number 1 shows the sorrow and pain of sickness. Distress, pain of sickness. Look what took place several years ago. Look what has been going on the past few years. Number two, the massive burning and destruction of many cities. Conflagration, extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land of many cities. Are we not watching that right now, family? The destruction and pestilence, fatal epidemic disease of animals. The hunger of the whole world and its people. Guess what? We're not seeing that right now. But guess what? We see what's on the horizon. Listen to this. Listen to this, number 5. It says, among the rulers, it means by the rulers, by the heads of these different governments. Among the rulers, destruction by earthquakes and the sword. Listen to this one here, because people don't believe this is happening. The multiplication of hail and snow. Number 7, wild beasts will be their grave. Animals will kill people. Number 8, listen to this. Hunger and pestilence will change its course and destruction. Number 9, punishment and execution by the sword, and flight and distress. And number 10, thunder and voices and destructive earthquake. So this is in the Apocalypse of Abraham. And it's chapter number 30 where you can find this information. I guess you can understand why this was removed from the Bible. They don't want people to see this. Now I'm going to read something from the restored version of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 1, I'm going to read verse 4 through 6. Listen what it says. It says, ah, sinful nation, ye are a people laden with iniquity, that's sin, and your children, the seed of your flesh, are corrupt, and all of them are evildoers. Ye have all forsaken the Lord, and have gone backwards away from him. And then they put in here, you have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. That's not true, because the Father gave us free agency during this second estate to determine what takes place in the third estate after we pass here. But because people didn't understand, this is why these things are written in the scriptures. Let's continue. Now this part, pay attention. It says, and his wrath is that he is no longer with you. So now when the Father is not with us, we are now in the hands of Satan, and Satan can do as he please. Let's go to verse 5. If ye are stricken more and more, will ye continue to revolt and turn away from him? It means if you continue to sin, are you going to continue to do that and continue to turn away from the Father? That which ye have imagined, listen to this, that which ye have imagined in your head and thought is of God is not. And that which ye do from the heart is not his ways. Behold, your whole head is sick, and your whole heart is weak. When they're talking about the whole head, they're talking about the leaders. Let's go to verse number 6 and get some more understanding. Ye are as one body. The people are the feet that support their leaders. The people are the feet that support the head. And the head is straight wicked. The leaders of the nations are straight evil, family. The people are the feet that support their leaders, who are the head of the body. From the sole of the foot even unto the head, there is no soundness found. But the body is full of wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. And your wounds have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment, because there is no physician among you who can heal the body. There's no one among you that can bring you into the truth, that can cause your body to be healed by following after the truth of the Father. And what is the truth, family? The truth is treating people the way that you want to be treated, showing love to all people, because we all are the Father's children, all of us, all of us. But we've been made to believe something different. We've been made to believe that one nation is above another nation. We believe that some people are supposed to be lower than others. But the spirits within us all came from the same Father. Now, listen to this. This is from the 3rd Testament, chapter 55, verse 36 and 37. It says, I will allow the hand of man to bring destruction, death, and war, but only up to a certain limit. The injustice, depravity, blindness, and striving for power of men will not be able to go beyond this limit. Then my sickle will come, and it will cut off with wisdom. Did you hear what the sickle is going to do? The sickle, family, is going to cut off with wisdom, that which my will determines. For life, love, and true justice are inherent or essential in my sickle. But you, people, watch and pray. Let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at the 3rd Testament, chapter 51, verse 32 and 33. It says, those who follow me, I will put peace of the world on their heart, so that they may stand up for it and pray for it. Are you standing up and praying for love and peace? The nations will soon send up their prayers to ask me for peace, which I have offered them at all times. Before I have allowed men to taste the fruit of their works, to see rivers of human blood flowing, and images of pain, mountains of corpses, and cities turned into ruins. I wanted people with petrified hearts to see the desolation of homes, the despair of the innocent, the mothers kissing the tattered bodies of their children out of pain, to experience at close range all the despair, fear, and lamentation of men, so that in their arrogance they might feel humiliation, and their conscience might tell them that their greatness, power, and wisdom are lies, that the only truly great thing comes from the divine Spirit. The only true great thing is going to come from the Father, family. We'll continue with the next one. Shalom. Okay, family, welcome back, and let's continue with the current and coming destruction. And we're going to begin with the 3rd Testament, chapter 51, verse number 42. Because there are things that we need to see with this destruction. Because when we can't love each other and we are in the hands of Satan, he's going to do anything that he wants to us. And we are watching, family, that he is trying to destroy us all. He is trying to destroy every single one of us through the stuff that's going on with the air we breathe, with the food that we eat, with the jobs that we slave at, with the cost of trying to find something to eat and the cost of trying to find some place to live. Today, the people are so uncertain of their lives. We're put down here during this time of probation to see if we want to choose the plan of the Father or the plan of Satan. And the majority of us, family, we've been living the plan of Satan. And I don't know about you, but I don't want Satan's plan anymore. I want a plan of love. I want a plan of peace. I want a plan where everyone can get along with each other, where we can all love our neighbors. Now let's take a look at the 3rd Testament, chapter 51, verse number 42. It says, I will prove to mankind that their problems will not be solved by force. And as long as they make use of destructive and murderous weapons, will not be able to make peace among men. However terrible and powerful these weapons may seem, on the contrary, as a consequence, they will only arouse greater hatred and more desire for revenge. Only conscience, reason, and the feelings of charity will be able to be the foundations on which the age of peace rests. But in order for this light to shine in the interior of men, they must first empty the cup of suffering to the last drop. Everything that is taking place, we got to take that cup of suffering, family, to the last drop until people are ready to call out to the Father and let the Father know that they want his plan. Do you want the loving Father? Or do you want the fake Father that we've been given? The one that kills, the one that's angry, the one that hates. That's Satan. It's not the Father. Let's take a look at the sealed portion, chapter 89, verse number 7. It says, therefore, all things which are done upon the earth, which maketh us miserable, are from our own doing, and are not punishments or doings of the Father. Behold, listen to this. The Father punishes no one, because he knoweth that we will punish ourselves if we do not listen to his Spirit, and do not those things which he knoweth will bring us joy and happiness. Let's go to the 3rd Testament, chapter 21, verse 47. It says, I cannot pass judgment on you that is heavier than the weight of your transgressions. Therefore I tell you, you have nothing to fear from me, but from yourselves. 3rd Testament, chapter 21, verse number 54. The judgment of men does not forgive, does not redeem, does not love. Mine loves, forgives, redeems, awakens to new life, lifts up and enlightens. And it is precisely those who have caused so much pain for mankind that I will redeem and save by letting them pass through their great atonement, which will be the melting pot in which they will be purified and fully awake to the voice of their conscience, so that they may see to the deepest depths of their works. I will let them go the same way they let their victims, their peoples, go. But finally, they will reach spiritual purity, to be able to return to earth, to rebuild everything destroyed, to restore everything undermined. Know that it is not only when death comes to you that your Father judges you, but that this judgment begins as soon as you become conscious of your works and feel the call of your conscience. My judgment is always upon you at every turn, whether in human life or in your spiritual life. You are subject to my judgment. But here in the world, in the body shell, the spirit becomes insensitive and deaf to the cause of conscience. Our conscience, it tells us when we shouldn't do things. But guess what? The majority of people ignored and override their conscience, and they have seared their conscience. And the people that run these different countries, their conscience is sheared like crazy. That's why they're trying to destroy everything and destroy the people. Let's go to the Third Testament, chapter 21, verse number 57. Listen what this says from the Father. He says, I judge you to help you open your eyes to the light, to free you from sin and deliver you from pain. In my judgment, I never count the insults you might have done to me. For never in my judgment does resentment, vengeance, not even punishment appear. Did you hear that, family? All this stuff that's taking place is coming from the hand of man. It's coming because their hearts are seared. Their conscience are seared. Let me read the Third Testament, chapter 53, verse 19 and 20. The hand of man hath brought judgment upon him. The storm rages in his brain. A tempest rages in his heart. And all these things are also revealed in nature. Its elements are unleashed. The seasons become unkind. Plagues arise and multiply. And this is because your sins increase and cause disease. And because foolish and presumptuous science does not consider the order determined by the Creator. If I would only tell you this, you would not believe it. Therefore, it is necessary that you should be able to grasp the result of your works with your hands, so that you may be disappointed. Right now, you have reached this moment of your life in which you experience the results of all you have sown. We need to change things, family. We need to come together, help each other, love each other, become a community. People think that these governments and voting people in and out of office is what's going to save them. Didn't the Father say, do not rely on the arm of flesh? So why are we allowing these governments and believing these governments can fix things? Turn back to the Father. Love you, family. Shalom.
I've got one that can see.